Devin, what are you drinking?
I am drinking from this bottle, which is my girlfriend's. And here's a funny story. Uh, she had never seen me drink at all. And I came over here one night after having had like 4 drinks with coworkers. And she's like, oh, yeah, this is fun. Drunk Devin. I was like, just you watch. So we're in her living room. And in the space of about an hour and a half, I had all this minus what's in here right now. And I was so far beyond drunk. It was unreasonable. It had been a long time, but it was fun. I'm fun drunk. She remembers it better than I do, but I think I'm a good fun person to be around. But I was gone, man. It was.
There's at least 3 times I've seen you that drunk, and every time you're great.
Yeah, I don't get sloppy.
You don't get sloppy.
I save my feelings for my sober hours. It's fine.
Yeah, you're like a sloppy sober.
That's right. It's right. It's got to be a name for that, like California sober. something.
Yeah,
in there.
I only cry when I'm sober.
It's really true.
Okay, let's start this again since my laptop didn't entirely cooperate last time. We don't need to necessarily get into details here, but since the last time we had Premier League football, we have had a Champions League final, we have had an FA Cup final, we have had the Euros, which were incredible. We've had Copa America, which was incredible, and we've had the Olympics, which were incredible.
A lot of football.
A lot of football. We watched a lot of football. Benny and we watched a lot of football.
I watched.
Mostly because I don't have a job, and Benny temporarily doesn't have a job as a teacher in the summer. So we were able to go as hard as you should like responsibly go, and maybe a little bit harder than that.
I was not responsible during those days. I was not responsible at all. I was waking up early, staying up late. I was coverage, highlights. Dude, it was irresponsible. But I didn't have any responsibility, so it was perfect.
That's right. But we're back now.
You know, me, just for contrast, in that time, I got COVID and pneumonia, had my same job, and that girlfriend I mentioned, she was new through that whole time. So I watched probably 1/10 of the amount that you two watched.
Yeah. I'm not sure I can remember any of it. Here's what I remember. I remember that Argentina won another title. Mm-hmm. I remember that England did not win another title. Mm-hmm. And I remember that's about it. I mean, those are the highlights, right? That's about it. Those are the important parts.
Spain looked incredible.
Spain, all right, let's talk. Yeah. I mean, Spain did
look incredible.
Spain did look incredible.
Let me amend that statement. Spain is incredible.
Spain's incredible, like top to bottom, regardless of gender. They won, or they are winning and have won everything. They won the men's title in the Olympics. They won the Euros. They won the Women's World Cup. They won some U23 title, maybe, or something like that. U21, U19. I don't even know. What are all the U's?
I mean, there's plenty of U's, and they're good at all of them.
Yeah,
they're good at all. And if you really think about it, like what with the Messi era, with Barca, with Real, then all the international stuff that they continue to either win or do really well at. Mm-hmm. They should perform. They just always are there. Then the U teams are always very, very good and always winning things. And now the women, after winning the World Cup, and they still had a good showing at the Olympics. I mean, they lost a heartbreaker to Brazil. Mm-hmm. Like, they're just incredible. And then actual Spanish players, not like Messi or something like that, they're just, I mean, Rodri arguably is the best player in the world, or like one of the 5
you would say
best players in the world. Like, he's just like, and they have tons of guys, and then their system is great, and where, like, you know, a Morata could come in the front, and all of a sudden, like, he looks awful in other places, and then when he goes in there, then he's incredible, and he's like a leader.
Wonder Kids, Lamine Yamal, Nico Williams.
Nico,
the new number 10 at Bilbao.
Made himself so much money. So much money.
Not from Barcelona, though, yet. He's staying at Bilbao.
I don't know
Also,
why.
on the other end of the age spectrum, Spain being great, like you have to give credit for the way that people who used to play in Spain spread out and started coaching, and now all those teams are great.
That's right.
Like Spain being great is a broader influence than just in Spain, and it's generations long at this point.
A lot of Spanish managers, starting at the top. You know, we got Pep, we got goddamn Mikel Arteta. Chelsea's got a Spanish manager now, and the new Enzo Maresca until they fire him anyway.
But you just want Spanish players. You want at least some of them. Sometimes they go somewhere and they just don't have the same success, or they need to be in that system to flourish. But it seems like the Spanish managers are a desirable commodity as well as just as much as the players are. I don't know. They're just awesome. They're just awesome. We don't need to talk about Spanish football forever, but I mean they dominated. They've been so dominant. And like, what's that crazy one that like they like 21 or 22 finals for that Spanish team has been in. They win.
That's crazy.
They close the deal too.
Yeah.
So, but then that leads us to the Premier League now this season.
Let's talk about it.
About it.
Could we stick on Spain for a second and just acknowledge something I think we've talked about offline, which is that Patatas Bravas is both the most overrated potato and the most overrated.
We're gonna go here.
Before we leave Spain, I think it's important to address this issue.
In your opinion, how is it overrated?
If it's nailed, the texture is pretty good. But like 95, 97% of the time, it's not nailed, and the texture is just like, here's some mushy potatoes. The sauce, it's got a reputation for being spicy. It's not spicy.
I want it to be
Spain's spicy potatoes.
It's like continental Europe spicy. It's like the spiciest thing on the continent.
That's right.
That's a low bar. That's a low bar.
We didn't set the bar. They set the bar.
Right.
Okay, listen. Potatoes do one thing exceptionally well, maybe better than anything, and that is get crispy. And if you are making a potato dish that is not in any way crispy, like it's a swing and a miss. And like, I don't care how good you make it. Like, I feel like a patatas bravas like tops out like a 10 out of 10 patatas bravas. Like it's like actually like a 7 out of 10 on like potato dish scale.
It's a waste of potatoes. I'll go that far.
Wow.
How dare you?
We love Spanish cuisine on the pod.
Sure.
We do.
We just lost our Spanish audience.
I'll go. You know what though? Let's balance it. Let's get a counterpoint. Let's hear both sides.
Tapas are wonderful.
I think that Spanish potato chips are the best potato chips. Not only potato chips like that come from Spanish bands, but potato chips in Spain, I think, are the best potato chips.
I have to try that fried egg one. That fried egg one that you had looked incredible. I would 100% tear that up. And of course, paprika Pringles. I mean,
that's right. For all of our single listeners out there, I just had multiple flavors of the Torres brand of potato chips while in Europe. One was the Jamon Serrano, which is reliably a fantastic European potato chip flavor.
It's a really good. There's a couple different brands that make it, and it's always
good. Yeah, the Lay's are good. The Ruffles are good. These Torres chips are incredible. But then they make this fried egg chip, which tastes like a fried egg. It tastes just like a fried egg. Like it's not like an egg. It doesn't taste like an egg. It tastes like a fried egg with the fried like edges and the pepper and it's unbelievable.
Would you call that? That's like an inverse tortilla, right? It's like if a potato chip tastes like a fried egg.
Ooh, instead of eggs, it tastes like potatoes.
Yeah. Which, by the way, is a better potato dish than the bravas.
Yeah, no, that is true. That is true.
Tapas Inception all of a sudden now. We just drop in there. Okay.
Yeah.
How far down does it go?
We went hard on tapas.
Yep.
But tapas generally I enjoy. I love.
Outstanding.
But I do feel you on the patatas bravas. Every time you go there, I want them to be just 20% better.
Yeah, I want them to be fries. That's what I want.
McDonald's fries.
I feel like every culture should have fries, and like patatas bravas are like kind of the Spanish fries, and it's not good enough.
All right.
Benny, let's talk about City. How about that? You want to talk about City?
I would love
You-
to talk about City.
Let's talk about City.
Um, as I every year, I don't think we're going to win it this year, but
You might be right,
I
but I
said
have
that
some.
the last 2 years, and somehow we pulled it off. But I still don't. This year, I just feel like the same thing. Like Arsenal looks really good. Liverpool will be whatever Liverpool is going to be. You guys will make a jump. You've got now another year with Ange. You got Solanke. You got you have some pieces. You have some pieces there, and there's always going to be someone else that comes out of nowhere. Maybe all this buzz with Crystal Palace or
It
somewhere else.
was Villa
Somebody else.
last year. It was West
Maybe
Ham the year before that.
Chelsea with their 65
Stop it.
players on roster.
Chelsea's not going to do anything this year.
Cole Palmer, come on.
I love Cole Palmer, but I don't think they're going to do anything.
It's almost as good as this. It's almost as good.
Yeah.
But no, but then again, you think about it in the other way. Like I honestly believe that we were the best team in Europe last year. I thought it came down to killing the vampire that is Real Madrid. That they just always come back, and you can't. You think they're dead, and then all of a sudden they come back, and it's like some bad movie. And we lost some PKs, and I think we win those PKs. I think we win another Champions League, and we barely lost to um, Manchester United. We did lose though, but
Mm-hmm.
I just thought that we were really good. And then the positives, it's always Pep, and those teams are incredible, and we're like sometimes like a machine, and we're plug and play, and all of a sudden we lose Julian Alvarez, but we get Savinho, and I don't know, and then Foden looks like Foden. Foden, it looks incredible,
Foden didn't
and
look like
then
Foden in the Euros, but
yeah, I mean, granted, but then again, no, who on England truly look like they look with their clubs? This is always the problem with England, right? Where like at their clubs they play incredible, and then all of a sudden they get there and they get together, and then they just falter.
Mhm.
And I don't know if it's inherently in the way in which English players set their teams up, or some black curse that they can't get out of, or some little thing. But I don't know.
Yep.
But City look great. I expect them to be definitely, obviously, Champions League top four.
Mm-hmm.
We'll contend.
What's the
But in the
lowest they
end,
can finish?
I mean,
3? Is it even possible for them to finish in third?
maybe, but I don't.
I don't know who finishes above them if they finish in
It's
third.
just there's just so many automatic games like at this point where like they just get 3 points. Where some teams all of a sudden, well, that's a 1 pointer, but Pep and I guess the way in which that happens is like Rodri gets hurt or whatever he's dealing with right now, that continues to linger on, and a couple of games where he steals, or a couple of games where he's just managing the middle, being sort of that defensive mid that controls what we need, helps out the back line, something like that. Maybe in that scenario, you get the third or fourth place, but I know Kovacic is pretty good, and we have. My concern is always the same thing. Like I just don't know. We have so many players, so many good players, and I just don't know how you keep all of those and manage all those egos. Like I just don't know. Like we have like 7 wings. Like it just doesn't. Like I don't understand what we're doing, but it is what it is.
I have.
I'm
Go ahead.
I still picking Arsenal. I think it's an Arsenal year.
Okay.
It's been building up to it. Arteta looks great. They looked great last year. If they would have actually had the balls to go for the win when they were at the Etihad near the end of the season, I think they came in and tried to get a draw, and then they think oh, things will fall in place. And we were like, oh my god, you're just gonna get a draw? Then we did the City thing, and we just had more points than they did at the end because we're just a steadier team. But I think they'll learn from that, and it'll probably be an Arsenal season.
If we're going to be calling a season for Arsenal, I'm not sure this podcast is the right place for me
Mhm.
personally. I think I may
I feel triggered.
You feel triggered. This is no longer a safe space.
I'm just being objective. I understand. I understand. But I'm just saying, objectively, they look really good.
Back to City for a moment. I read that the hearing for the charges, the FFP charges, is going to start next month.
That's how they finish lower than second.
Right.
100%.
Yeah. So I guess it's like a 10-week deal, right? So we'll know this calendar
We will
year.
have resolution on the 115 charges this season. Maybe, like you said, maybe this calendar year.
They said that last year, but yeah,
they just decided to deduct all your points from Everton.
I mean, look, it's gonna. I think that there will be a deduction, but like, there's also like one of those things when the NCAA used to take away titles, or Reggie Bush takes away the Heisman Trophy. Like, really? Like, we saw Reggie win those things. Like, are you gonna think that the city wasn't the greatest team in the past 4 years? Like, we've been incredible. Yeah. Like, I don't want to hear it. I mean, whatever the charges are, they're gonna manifest themselves into something, or they aren't. There going to be any charges, or But I anticipate probably some sort of point deduction, and like you said, maybe that's the way in which we finish fourth or something like that. But knowing Pep and how he's just always looking for a chip, like he'll just use that and motivate the boys even more. Then
it is an interesting question how to think about, like, what does it mean to take a past title away? Is that the right approach? Is there some different way to kind of reconcile the record with the fact that it shouldn't have happened in a certain way? There's some Olympic story I had not followed that's dealing with this right now, right? Like,
yeah, there's a gymnastics problem where it's like something with the bronze medal and Jordan Childs on the U.S. gymnastics team. But yeah, I think you can have it both ways here. I think that's kind of what ends up happening in sports anyway, is, Barry Bonds hits 1 million home runs. And that's what we remember, even if he never gets in the Hall of Fame, like, we remember the 1 million home runs, like, regardless of how they happen. And I feel like with City, it's sort of the same thing. Is like you can take the points away, and you can relegate them, you can put them in 10th, you can do whatever you want, but it doesn't change the fact that, like, this was a great football team on the pitch. They won everything they won on the pitch. There have been other teams that have won with more world-class players, or have not won with more world-class players. So it's not like this is some like insane super team that they were able to assemble because of financial wrongdoing. I mean, they assembled a team and there was financial wrongdoing. I think those two things are true, whether it was like cheating in the way that we talk about cheating, and certainly in America, I don't know that it quite rises to that level, but who knows?
And you would also say that even with all the exact violations that they may have committed, a different manager would not have seen the same success.
Yeah. Yep. That's right. I mean, we're entering this new season. City have won 4 titles in a row, which, forgive my American memory, I don't think that's happened before.
No, it hasn't.
They're going for the 5th one in a row, which would be, break their own record.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't happen because you spend a few more dollars than you shouldn't have. And like, I don't want, like, I don't want City to lose points. I'm like, just from like a car crash, like rubbernecking perspective, would love to just see sort of like, what happens, just from like disaster curiosity perspective. But like, I don't want that for you. I don't want that for City. Like, I don't want that for Pep, and I don't want that for Spurs, where if like, is that how we finish in 4th? Because like City gets dumped down to 10th because of points, and we go from 5th to 4th. Like, I don't want to play in Europe because of like a lawsuit, basically.
Yeah, but that's probably, I anticipate something. Like, it's just the EPL is not going to let all of that happen, and then they just go, yeah, none of it happened, and it will fine you like an X amount. They're going to deduct some
points. The rug, yeah.
They're going to deduct some points, and then there's going to go back and forth, and it's going to go there. But they're going to do something. They can't have it in which nothing happens.
This season has like real like last dance potential, where Pep might be gone, De Bruyne is probably gone, Been talking about Bernardo Silva leaving forever, and like who knows what happens once those pieces come apart. Who knows like who jumps ship and goes somewhere else, or finally goes somewhere else and gets paid or gets playing time, like like Julian Alvarez. But I think for that reason alone, like my money's on City this year, is because like this is the last time all these people are going to be playing together. De Bruyne has got a top knot now. I mean, that seems like he's showing up. He's ready to make it. He's ready.
So bad. It's so bad.
He's ready for business, Benny. That is a business haircut.
It's a business decision. It's his decision. I don't know about that. It's a
Yeah.
choice, but I don't know if it's. I'm more concentrated on a Champions League. I think he needs a second one to really sort of solidify it, because the first one those losses to Real, then the loss to Chelsea, and that final, and then winning the one, I think is not enough. I think you need to win a second one for legacy wise, and also just for my own entertainment. I would love to see that and them concentrate on that. But then again, I mean, a fifth Premier League title would be just insane.
It would deepen the moat around City's legacy.
Yeah, I don't think it carves any new territory.
Does it widen the moat or deepen the moat?
That's a good question. I think it deepens.
I guess it widens. You think it deepens?
I think it widens.
I think it widens.
I think it widens. Widens the moat.
Widens.
Yeah, it's unapproachable.
What's up with Grealish? They left him off the England squad. He was in the doghouse with Pep at the end of last year.
But then he was on the American tour. Like he was like the face of City for the American tour, him and Erling. Like, I don't understand what it is. And then we get to us. It'll be interesting what the lineup is for Chelsea. What does he put out? Because he obviously leaned towards the young players in the Community Cup with O'Reilly, Bob, finishing with Savinho. So he was leaning towards the young guys. But what happens when 3 points are on the line? Is he going to put him back out? Is he going to be a super sub? And to be honest with you, he doesn't do that well. Maybe he should start and then always bring somebody else in. So, like, is that going to be his role? I don't know what that is.
Jack Grealish feels to me like, and look, in the first episode, I'm already going to talk about Formula One. It feels like what Red Bull is doing with Daniel Ricciardo.
Oh my God.
Where you have somebody who's like all there for PR, just like everybody loves him. He's part of the reason that like you might follow that team or that sport, but like his skills aren't quite where they used to be, or maybe not where they should be at the moment. And so like you can't play him, but he's still valuable for like PR purposes, or he's not good enough to start, but he's still valuable for PR purposes and selling merch and things like that. So I worry a little bit for Jack, because like between that and the fact that like they left him off the England squad for the Euros, I don't know where his head's at coming into the season.
I mean, he's still a good player.
He is.
Every time you see him out there, he performs. He does well. I think the biggest problem that he has to affect the game, he really has to sort of like drag that ball with him, and that's just never going to be okay with Pep.
Yeah,
Pep is all about you get it. You have a quick pass to make or a quick move to make, and then that's it. That's all you get. Felt like he got into a groove, and then all of a sudden he got in the doghouse. And then Doku came in, and Doku's basically took his minutes. So I don't know what his role is. If the role is to be basically a glorified mascot, then he's wonderful at it, because everybody loves him. Like he got to America, and people just are like
lost their minds on the streets of New York.
They're like gushing over him.
Jackie Grealish is there.
Listen, my wife would leave me in a heartbeat for Jack Grealish. This is just the way it works. The calves, the hair. He's dreamy. He's dreamy, and then you hear him talk, and
he's got a Midlands accent. He can't help it.
It takes you 3 to 4 minutes to adjust, because you just can't understand anything he's saying. It's like the opening scene of Trainspotting. You just don't know what the hell's happening.
Do you feel? I have the impression that other teams go a little extra hard on Grealish. Like they come at him pretty hard, and he's rattleable. Like, what happens if Grealish can't be kind of knocked off his own plan as easily?
He does bring it on himself, because that's part of what he does. He's a douchebag. Like he's out there. That style that he plays with, he invites the foul. Yep. Then the foul happens, and then you foul him in a bad spot. That's just the way it works with him. Like I feel like there's a certain brand of player who he's out there looking to be fouled.
I feel like we have one of those in James Madison.
I know. I can't. The image of Madison sitting on the ground with his arms in the air is like burned into my brain. It's so consistent. You're going to get 3 or 4 of those every match, and they feel petulant. And it's like,
and also like, unlike Jack, you know, like a good gust of wind is going to knock James Madison over. And then like on the 7th one of those, he's going to get hurt and he's going to be out for 3 weeks.
All right, let's do this now. What is the expectation for Spurs this year?
You know, last year, I think we felt more or less like if we get to number 6, we'll be pretty happy with that. Rebuilding year.
I might have said 7 was like the expectation. Anything
again?
Yeah, 6 was not the expectation.
Where did we finish last year?
5th.
And
just
again,
just
6,
out of Champions League.
Yeah, 6 was not the expectation. 6 was like, that's a good year if we get there, right?
Yeah.
And so the question is like, this year, are we thinking we've figured it out? Because we made a lot of changes already and there might be more coming. So is this still a rebuilding year? Is this capitalizing on some things we already did? I saw something that was like, let's solve the physical conditioning issue needed for Ange's style, and then we can get there. But if we're swapping out a bunch of players, like, do the new ones coming in have the same level of conditioning? Do they have the same intelligence in this particular system? Like, they can't, right? So is it still 6th is a great year? It still feels like we need to at least be where we were last year.
Yeah.
I mean, we're recording this for the pod. 6 is what you're saying, Devan?
I'm saying because we got 5th last year in a year when we would have been happy with 6th, it feels like we at least got to get 5th this year.
I said the other day that I feel like we improve as a team this year, but don't necessarily improve our table position. I think the ceiling for us this year is 4th. We get really lucky with injuries and other things happening in the league, maybe 3rd.
Right. That's if City gets like a 30-point deduction.
Yeah, like 30-point deduction for City. Like Liverpool doesn't quite put it together under Arne Slot. Villa falls off.
Obviously, it's City, Arsenal, like somewhere in the top.
Liverpool.
And I feel like that's the line. And then there's a next tier.
Yeah.
The next tier. And that next tier is what? Liverpool, Villa, who? Are you putting yourself in that tier or are you going down another tier?
We're aspiring to that tier, but there's too much uncertainty.
I would say Villa is also aspiring to that tier, even though they finished 4th last year. I would not put Villa above us as like a football program.
Yeah.
Like yet.
So then you're saying you're in the pool with Liverpool, Villa, and who else would be there?
I don't think the pool is Liverpool and Villa. I think Liverpool is the presumptive number 3.
Yep.
And we with Villa are in that next tier chasing that number 3 spot.
I would agree with that. I would also, so I think I may be the only person alive who's like scared of Manchester United this year. Like
no, I'm here for that talk too, because I think the same thing too. I think there might be a resurgence as well too.
They went through a couple of years. I mean, obviously they went through like, you know, the sort of post Ferguson years, but like the last few years with Ten Hag, and like, look, I'll clown on United all day long, but like Ten Hag's a good coach. He won a lot of games in the Netherlands. I mean, of course, he won them with Ajax, which is like the Bayern of the Netherlands. But he's a good coach, and they need to like clear out the bullshit there, I think, to like give him a chance. And like they have like a young core with Kobe Mainu and Højlund, even though he's hurt, and Garnacho. And like as much as we all would love to punch like Bruno in the face, Bruno's a great core of that team. And it's like if they can figure it out and like start to cook a little bit and like get the like Jim Ratcliffe, like Ineos nonsense, like out of the way and like let Ten Hag do what Ten Hag does. I think they could be, depending on what Liverpool does, I think they could finish 3rd this year if things come together. And like everywhere else I'm reading, there's like a category for like Chelsea and Manchester United, which is like the clown show category. And like, I agree that Chelsea is absolutely still a clown show. And some people are like predicting that like Enzo Maresca is going to be the first coach fired this year, which would be nuts. Chelsea fired Enzo Maresca. So anyway, when I talk about the top 4, I think it's City and Arsenal in some order. I think it's probably Liverpool in 3rd. And then the fight for 4th in my mind is Villa and us and United.
I think you put Chelsea in there. You don't. There's so much unpredictability. Really? Yeah.
I don't think so. I think it's impossible for Chelsea to like put it. I will go on record on this podcast. No one's listening to
Say it. Mark it.
Chelsea won't finish higher than. I think the over under is like 6.5. I think like They could finish 6th. That's like their ceiling this year, I think.
Just as sidelining here, I just went on two betting websites. Okay,
Yeah.
Obviously, City Arsenal both were 1 and 2. Every site had Liverpool at 3, and then FanDuel had Manchester United slightly better, but everybody else had Chelsea next.
Wow.
Manchester United, Chelsea, Tottenham, Newcastle, Villa, Brighton.
Chelsea 4 based on what? Like based on what? I mean, like what have we seen? Like what do we see at like?
They have 1,000 players. If they play them all at the same time, they win. Right there.
That's right. You just put 40 of them in goal. Just only one can use their hands.
Good luck. Good luck. They don't even have to put up their hands at that point.
Is this entirely Cole Palmer?
Well, one, let's be honest. Cole Palmer is incredibly, like you even saw his impact when he came in those Euro games.
Yeah.
He was a difference maker. So you have Cole, right? They have. I know you don't like Jackson, but Jackson gets involved.
I mean, he scores 18 goals, and he should score 26 goals.
Yeah, but he still scores 18 goals.
Right?
Yeah,
and they just have a lot of paper quality. They have a lot of paper quality. Like on paper, they look really good, and then like you throw in Reece James and you throw in the other guys, and like they have a team, but like it's just like you said,
a lot of guys.
But like they just have the players, and I think that's what just people see the quality on paper, and they think, well, these guys could finish 4th too. They could finish 3rd, maybe.
I don't as heartbreaking as it is to be a Tottenham fan and see that like odds are in favor of both United and Chelsea finishing ahead of us. Like that's a hard pill to swallow. But Chelsea is like the Noah's Ark of teams. Like they've got a little bit of everybody. And they have time to figure out how to put it all together, and I'm sure I haven't paid attention to their preseason, but I'm sure they've learned something.
They've lost a lot. It hasn't gone great. I'll be honest.
You know what? Fail fast. That's what I say.
Yeah, I mean, don't see how like Enzo Maresca fixes what like Pochettino couldn't fix last year with essentially the same players.
Is it the same players?
Who they just signed? Pedro Neto? Did they get him?
Yeah, they got Neto.
Okay, so the same players plus Pedro Neto, and
like a couple goalies.
You can't. Again, it's only one.
You can't play more than one at a time. But you don't know when a keeper might be needed at like central attacking midfielder. It's a long season. A lot of shit could happen.
Also, you could park the other 10 people right on the goal line.
That's right.
There's nothing saying you can't do that.
This is going to bring us back to handball, but let's not go there just yet.
We're going to have a Patatas Bravas and handball.
Yeah, that's right.
We're going to have a handball segment. Yep. It's going to be great.
We're getting canceled. We're done. We're never going to be played in Europe. They're just going to censor us. It's just going to be an American podcast only.
Let's talk about Spurs.
So 6, right?
Yeah.
What are you most looking forward to this season?
I am most looking forward to this is going to sound like I work for the club, but like the continued development of the on-field product under Ange Postecoglou. That's honestly like what I'm most excited about. Like of course I want to win. Of course I want to finish higher on the table and like maybe go to Champions League next year instead of Europa. But like we play or are intended to play an exciting brand of football. We tried it last year. It was successful sometimes and it was spectacularly unsuccessful other times. But like I kind of love
down 10 men in the high line. Let's do it.
Yeah. No, we did a 9, dude. It wasn't 10. It was 9.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah. playing a high line with 9 against Chelsea.
No one passes this line.
Yeah, that was the game that ruined our entire season. Anyway, that was like where the timeline shifted. But no, I love that we have a philosophy. I love that the coach is uncompromising. I love that he has so much confidence in him. He has enough confidence in himself for everyone else. And it doesn't come across as arrogant in the same way that it might with someone else. It comes across as like, I have a plan. Everybody get in the boat. And like, I promise you we're going to win. I don't know. Like I've been on board with that since the day we hired this dude. And it's crazy to me. Like, I can't fathom the criticism that I see him getting, even though I know that like his tactics are unconventional.
Also, so I love Ange, but it must be said, Ange is like a uniquely Jay coach. Ange is a coach made for Jay. Jay's view of somebody who is like an extremely confident, straight talker who will, troll the press a little bit in spots or kind of like bite back when a question is ill-conceived. That's a real Jay guy.
I mean, like, fuck it all, we're trying to score is like a really fun way to watch football. You know, it's like we've gone through so many. I mean, like the Pochettino era was great, you know, and obviously we've gone through a whole bunch of different people who are parking the bus in various ways since then, from like Mourinho to Nuno to Conte. The fact that we have somebody who's basically playing all verts, everybody go deep. Like, we're trying to score every time we have the ball. Every time you have the ball, we're trying to take the ball back.
Right. There is no bus.
No, there's no bus. There's no bus to park.
Everybody's on a motorcycle. Go.
Right. We're all on speed bikes. 3 of us are going to crash and die. But that's okay because we got more speed bikes and more dudes on the bench.
Let's go.
Right.
Like, that is Ange ball, and I'm here for it. Like, however long it lasts, because like this dude is not going to be at Spurs forever. Like, I think he tends to stay till the project is finished in his mind, and one day the project will be finished, and whether that's 2 years from now or 10 years from now, like, there's going to be an ending to the Ange era, and like, I hope we get some hardware out of it because, you know.
I was about to say, what is the job completed?
I think we need a trophy, and I think it needs to be Premier League. I think it needs to be one of the big three. I think we need to win the FA Cup. No, the Carabao Cup's not good enough. Look, it's hardware. I'll take it. I mean,
I know. I'm just saying. So
I know we found it, but it's a real tournament.
Spurs win the FA Cup next year.
Yeah,
great.
That's is that like
success?
Is that like, oh my god, yeah, that's awesome.
100%.
Obviously, Premier League.
Premier League, Champions League. I think we have to win one of those two. If we win the Europa League this year,
yeah, so I'm about to say, what if you win a Europa League?
Feel great? I'll feel great, but like, will it scratch the itch? No.
Even the FA Cup, I don't think if we win the FA Cup first, I don't think Ange leaves right away. Like, if we win that this year, I don't think he leaves.
Yeah,
I think there's more work to do. If we win that, having had a second place finish in the Premier League and a third place finish in the Champions League, then maybe yes.
Mm-hmm.
But I think those two still count more for that is the project finished question.
Is it Europa or is it the Carabao Cup?
Europa.
I mean, sorry, the Europa. It's not the like, Conference League, right?
Not the Conference League. No, we finished in 5th. We were almost. I mean, there was the chance that England was going to get the extra Champions League spot this year, but it didn't happen because everybody lost.
Wait, not Champions League.
Yeah,
England Champions League.
England. Okay, so the way there's a weighted extra spot or weighted extra spots that go to a country based on how their teams perform in other tournaments.
Got it. Yeah, I thought you were saying the English national team.
No,
would be
the English national team is going to play in the Europa League or in the Champions League.
Yeah, I was real confused. I was like, first of all,
they'd still find a way to lose.
They'd lose real bad.
Wait, one last question: who are the 3 best Spurs players now?
Is this like Wheel of Fortune where like we get RSTLNE for free? Like we get Son for free and we pick
obviously no, I'm just trying to honestly figure, because I always like to look at a team and I like to see like who what's their quality? Like, what's the very best?
The world-class people on Spurs are Son, Romero,
and
I mean, I think there are players that will be world-class but aren't yet, or like could be world-class, like Van de Ven and Udogie, but like they're not there yet.
Who's the 3rd best right now?
I think we don't know until we get some good looks at Solanke.
We're this high on Solanke.
I think Solanke's going to fit the system so well.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you guys are wrong, by the way. I'm not trying to troll you here. I'm honestly trying to figure out who the 3rd best player, because I thought Romero's Son, obviously, and it's more of the what you expect to see from Son, because I know sometimes he has some dips.
Yeah, some up years and down years. But I think we want to say Maddison. Like, we want to say the 3rd best player is Maddison, but it's been so long since we've seen that version of Maddison. Like, since the Chelsea game, since he got hurt in the Chelsea game last year, he has not been the same player. He wasn't just like Grealish. He got dropped from the England squad.
Yeah.
So he wasn't in the Euros. There's a big question mark as to whether he can play like physically enough to lead a team like Spurs or stay healthy enough. You know, in a way, he's almost like he's like the same body type as like Pulisic, who got like this shit kicked out of him in the Premier League for a couple of years and then went to Italy, and now he's like a superstar.
Yeah.
I feel like Maddison is like not strong enough for the Premier League. Certainly not for like a 10 where he's going to get knocked around.
Maybe not anymore. I mean, when he was doing it with Leicester, something was different. I think it was in part the system kept him out of harm's way a little bit more, whereas Maddison and Ange ball is like right in the middle of the pain at all times.
I think he brings it on himself too. I mean, like, he's always been a little bit of like a preening semi shithouser, But coming to Spurs, which is a bigger club than Leicester, and proclaiming yourself as like the main man, which what he did when he first came in, got the armband. I mean, no, he's co-captain. He's not the captain, but he got one of the armbands like before he ever played a match for the club. Played great, and then he got hurt, and he's like hasn't been the same ever since. So I feel like he sort of put the target on his own back. Like he's a guy who's like easy to kind of hate and easy to knock around in a way that he made it that way for himself on Spurs, and he wasn't entirely that guy on Leicester. I mean, there were other dudes who were like as good as him on Leicester at the same time, or better.
We don't have time to talk about this because like explaining why I wasn't the biggest Kane fan in the world is like too much.
This leads to my last question, by the way. Go ahead.
I will say for Kane, like his solidity in there was necessary for Tottenham. And that is where I start to wonder if Kulusevski takes over a little bit of the duty from Maddison. As somebody who, he's kind of lanky and funny moving in his own way.
And he's strong on the ball.
But he's big and he's really strong. He's not going to get just knocked off the ball.
Yep.
And that may be what we need with a Solanke up front who is pressing and resisting the press. With somebody like Son, then maybe out left.
Yeah, Son's going to play in the wing. He can't play as the 9 because Solanke's the new 9.
Yep.
I have a James Maddison prediction or potential prediction to throw out there is that like I wonder if like Lucas Bergvall is the like everyday number 10 by the end of the year. Maybe not even by the end of the year.
And Kulusevski stays on the right wing.
Yeah, or he's just like part of the he's part of the squad rotation. But I feel like we have some kids, especially some midfield kids between Archie Gray and Bergvall that are going to show up in the starting lineup. Ange is not, I don't think there are sacred cows with Ange. I mean, obviously Son is Son and, his captains are his captains, but I don't think there are any other sacred cows, and he's willing to get rid of anybody or bench anybody who's not willing to play the system the way that he wants it to be played. And what I love about all these kids that are already getting playing time in the preseason and like could get playing time in the regular season, if they are producing results and they're running the way that like Ange wants people to run, they're going to play. And like if Maddison gets hurt and Bergvall steps up, like Bergvall's the new number 10. If like, if Basuma can't get his head out of his ass for whatever, can't stop like huffing nitrous or whatever, is going on, like Archie Gray will be the new number 6 in that spot or the new number 8. It's not the same club that it was last year. There's some kids that are going to play. Obviously there's Solanke. There really aren't any other signings, at least not yet, but everybody's healthy coming in. I'm excited to see another year from Van de Ven. I'm excited to see another year from Udogie.
And Poro, Dragushin, we haven't mentioned
Poro, 30-yard bangers from Poro.
I ended up liking Poro. I thought he was a little overrated, but then
when we first signed him, he was overmatched. He didn't look like he belonged in the Premier League. And then just under Ange Ball with the inverted role, like if he could just put balls on frame instead of like blasting him into the 21st row, like, he's going to score some goals. But
but he scores enough to still be a threat, even though it's like he either scores or he misses by like 47 yards to the right. You got to mark him. I will just say, maybe in closing, I'm not sure how much time we have. I will say, in defense of people who have huffed things, the mistake is filming it.
Yeah, no, I agree. That's, that was judgy of me to say. I mean, like, drugs are fun. Do drugs if you want to do drugs, but
play around, see what's good.
Yeah, don't put it on Instagram stories or whatever.
That's right.
And don't go to work.
Right.
After you've done it.
Don't talk about it at work.
Right.
When your work is being a top tier international athlete.
Right. When your work is not supported by your huffing.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how responsible do you feel for keeping England's finest goal scorer from a cup? Spurs just, like, you guys wasted him. You're keeping him from greatness. You kept him from greatness. I feel like he had to go to Bayern Munich to chase it now.
I feel like he kept us from greatness. I don't think it's the other way around. He's an incredible player, an incredible talent who was not the right guy to bring this team either under Pochettino or any of the subsequent coaches he played for to bring this team to medal. He was creative. He was strong. He's a good finisher, but he could not support a team that was fully built around him. He's not, you look at City, right? And it's like Haaland is not the same kind of finisher, but he finishes. De Bruyne was not the same kind of creator, but he created more reliably than Kane. Foden, certainly a very different player, but all of those people individually supported what the team needed to happen. Kane had a couple tricks, and they were not the right tricks to get Tottenham over the finish line. They're not the right tricks to get England over the finish line. They weren't the right tricks to get Bayern over the finish line. I don't think it's us. I think it's him. I said this before he left. I wanted him gone. When he left, I was glad. When he left, we finished higher.
You did say that.
This is not revisionist history. You have been a Harry Kane critic for some time. This happens a lot in the NBA, right? You know, like somebody like Kevin Garnett or like a
You are all over the place.
This is what
Olympics. Now you went F1.
This is who I am, and this is what we are.
This is 100% correct.
It happens in the NBA a lot where you get a guy who's in a place for a long time and he's a fan favorite and he's beloved and he has a lot of moments and he scores a lot of points and he sells a lot of jerseys and he's the face of the franchise and he never makes it past like the second round of the playoffs. And part of it is...
Did you just call him Dame Lillard?
I mean, he is Dame Lillard. He is Kevin Garnett. He is one of these guys who just like is absolutely iconic in the history of the sport, but for reasons, and the reasons have something to do with him and something to do with the club. Like, and more importantly, like the culture that both of those things like combine to create, where it's like, yeah, at first it's not Harry Kane's fault and it's not the club's fault, but at a certain point, like Harry Kane becomes Harry Kane and Spurs become Spurs. And when you combine like those two narratives together, it becomes like almost like unstoppable. And like in these moments where like we could win, or in these moments where England could win, the other thing happens that causes them not to win, or Harry Kane not to win. And again, at a certain point, it's like bigger than anyone. It's bigger than the club. It's bigger than Daniel Levy. It's bigger than Harry Kane. It's bigger than Son. It's bigger than whoever else who's come through, you know, all these guys who have come through in that era. And it takes on its own like gravity, such that like Harry Kane can go to another league, to another country, to one of the greatest clubs in Europe, one of the greatest clubs in the world, one of the most successful clubs ever. And they don't even like sniff the trophy. Like they don't even get close last year.
Well, they got
a little close, but I mean, like they were never out front. Like they were always chasing, and they never really made it meaningfully close. And in the times that they could, they got smoked by Leverkusen. Like late in the season, they had the chance to. Didn't they lose like 3-0 in that game to Leverkusen? So it's like they never like Kane goes to Germany and like doesn't get close. Going back to the Euros, like I think that's what we saw with England too. Is that like it's not Harry Kane, it's not Gareth Southgate, it's not any one player on that club. It's not Bukayo Saka. It's the shirt and the narrative and the culture of England and how that like all goes in the soup. And like at the end of the day, it's just like, you know,
I feel so bad for him. I just feel so bad for him. I feel so bad for him.
I do. He's so good. He's so like historically, legendarily good on almost every dimension, except for one. And like in a sport defined by legacy, it's a sport defined by legacies. It's like defined by narrative and like history and trophies on the wall, and like to have a bunch of points but not have a trophy. I don't know, man. Is Harry Kane Carmelo Anthony? Is that the one? It's not Lillard. It's not Kev Garnett. It's
and
Spurs are like
it just depends. It just depends though, like, right? Because I picked Dame Lillard because Dame Lillard is beloved in Portland. Is Kane beloved with Spurs fans?
Yes.
So then I think it's more that because that's not Carmelo. Carmelo wasn't
moved around.
Like he moved around a little bit. Like he didn't have that sort of like that. Those early Denver teams where like, you know, like that people loved him, but like at the same time, like, you know, they were chaotic, and him and J.R. Smith, like, you know, Kenyon Martin, they were a little bit of like they had a little bit of the Portland Trailblazers in them, like, or Jailblazers, Jailblazers in them for a little bit, and then, you know, he moved on, and then he moved to New York. I just think Carmelo is more of just like this singular sort of like, and he has like Carmelo has like a very much another kind of cultural impact where, like, you know, within certain communities, he was always going to be viewed in a different light, just by people of color, people like hood people, like, you know, sort of like that urban sort of way of seeing what basketball is, and the way he talks and the way he presents himself, and like, you know, he's unabashedly, I don't care, you got to accept me the way I am. I'm not going to change for you, so sort of way. But Kane, I don't feel like I got any of that from him. Kane was more of this just really talented striker, and, you know, like Devan says, you know, being put in these situations and sometimes coming through and sometimes not. And Sometimes it's an emptiness to what he was doing, scoring in these games, but then losing it and not being able to finish. I felt like I told you that when I was watching him in those Euro games, like there were times where like felt like Southgate just needed to get him out,
Get him
and
off the pitch.
maybe the best lineup was not having him in it, like
The best
having
lineup did not have Harry Kane in it this year, for sure. I think
yeah,
we agree.
having Ollie Watkins or somebody else take over for him. So I don't know. Like I like him, and I feel sorry for him because I feel like he should have won something by now. But like Bayern Munich will win the league next year, and he'll win it, and then hopefully it'll somewhat patch it over. At least he cannot be in a meme anymore.
All right. Well,
Anything else?
I
Anything
should
else?
go.
Okay. All right, boys. Well, I'll
This was
see what I
good.
can make. Yeah, I'll see what we can edit out of this one.
Yep.
Okay.
Do we need to sign off?
We didn't even talk about Ipswich Town. Like, come on.
Benny, Ipswich Town.
I don't think they make. I don't. They don't stay up.
Come on, it's been like 2 decades. They got to stay up one more year.
You see how hard it is to stay up? All three came
All
up and
three.
all three went down.
All three. R.I.P. Luton Town.